Today I have a very, very cool guest.
The law can handle it.
That's the reason we're here.
And it's not just fraud. It's everything.
What does it even mean?
Crypto didn't cause the FTX problem.
Greed?
Greed did. You can serve people by DM now. Being in the crypto industry is not a license to defraud people. We're not going to hide behind a keyboard anymore. We're going to go to court. And you have to come to court.
The train of justice starts moving very slowly, but when it starts riding, you can't stop it. I'm so glad today that we're in the studio and talking again on my next podcast. My name is Sergii Gerasymovych, and I'm a CEO and co-founder of Easy Blockchain. And today I have a very, very cool guest. I have not a crypto bro, finally, not AI bro. I actually have a traditional professional from legal industry, a lawyer, an attorney. Mike, how do I introduce yourself? A lawyer or attorney?
Well, I mean, whatever feels right. I say attorney.
Attorney. All right. So Mike is an attorney. He's been specializing in different litigation cases. Mike, why don't you talk about yourself more than I? Because I don't really know exactly what is the best parts of you. I know a few, but I think the best person who can introduce yourself would be you.
So thank you. I'm a partner at Esbrook P.C. We're a law firm headquartered in Chicago. We've got offices in Delaware and New York. Delaware and Washington, D.C. What makes my practice different or interesting is that it's all over the board. Anything that is business or business related or business adjacent, having to deal with any dispute of any kind, even disputes that haven't happened yet, is what I deal with. And so, and I'm sure we'll talk about it today. I've done a lot of work in the crypto world.
Well, that's the reason you're here. That's the reason you're here. I really want to talk more about crypto, of course, because that's a wild, wild west, and it's been like that for the last decade. And there are not that many people who actually understand how the crypto works on legal playing field.
That is absolutely true. And we've seen opposing counsel, or whether it's lawyers that are representing somebody that we're adverse to, like in a lawsuit,
right,
or if it's just lawyers who are representing a counterparty in a proposed transaction. Even the attorneys that call themselves crypto attorneys, right? I'm a DeFi lawyer.
What does it even mean?
Really
DeFi
have no
lawyer?
idea. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean
DeFi
anything.
Lawyer?
They don't really know what they're talking about. They might be very good lawyers and they might know a lot of legal stuff, but they don't understand how the business works. They don't understand how, let's say, for example, you're negotiating a sale of, a bunch of mining rigs, let's say somebody's going to buy 5,000, S21s or
right.
something.
I think the lingua, you just putting too much lingua, that already shows you that you actually know what you're talking about. I don't think that many attorneys know that S29s or S19s
Right.
are actually crypto mining equipment. But you got on spot on that.
Yeah. Well, and, you got to know, as the lawyer, as the attorney, you got to know what's going on with the business.
Right.
Because otherwise, what are you doing? Otherwise, you're no different than Google or AI can write your contract.
It's true. Oh, actually, it's interesting that you say Google and AI can write your contract, because some of the first contracts that I used in my business were written by Google, or at least downloaded from Google.
Well, there's a saying in the legal industry, and it's, don't confuse your ability to use Google with my law degree.
I love that.
It's true.
That.
It's totally true. But the point is, lawyers are people too, and you only get as good a work product as the lawyers putting in, as the effort's putting in. And if the lawyer doesn't know the business and they don't know what's going on, they're not really helping you.
I agree. And that we see this all the time. especially in the crypto industry, that there's bad advice all the time, or there's no advice, and people get themselves in trouble. But before we get into that, so I think, is it fair to say that you're probably the youngest partner of a law firm here in Chicago at all?
I'm certainly young, though I might not look it. Yeah, I I've had a lot of really, I'm very blessed and with the career that I've had and the clients that I've had and the situations that I've been in. It's gone very well.
Why did you decide to become an attorney, Mike?
So I'm one of those guys that knew they wanted to be an attorney since they were a little kid.
Really? That's really a thing, huh?
It is. I never even really considered doing anything else. I applied to one college and one law school.
Yeah.
I knew that's what I was going to do. So it's something that I've done or known I wanted to do for a long time. And the reason is because you know how, on the playground, you get in a bully, you get in a fight with a bully or something, or the little kid would say, you're do this, do that. Oh, make me. You got to make me do this.
Okay.
That was the thing I can always remember. And I always thought, well, once I'm a lawyer, I can make people do stuff.
That's interesting.
Like if you breach a contract with one of my clients, I get to go to court and I get to make you pay up, or I can make you do something. And that was kind of how it all started. And then I heard another thing as I was, working through life. I was probably in high school. Somebody said to me, a law degree is a Visa card to the world.
That's a good one.
And so it's just been great.
Especially in America where the society, first of all, is so litigious. So I think your job is always in need.
I mean, we got to eat too.
Yeah, absolutely. Number one. Number two is I think there are so many different laws in America. We have 50 states, and every you have federal law, state law, local law, and I think to navigate that type of environment, you have to spend so much time not only in school but actually by practicing the law, right?
Oh yeah,
practicing the law, because there's so even driving. Sometimes I don't think I know all of those things, even though I have a driver's license.
Right, and you took a test.
Right, and I took a test, and then they say, "Oh, what about this? What about that?
Can I make a left turn here? I don't know."
Yeah.
It's interesting you mentioned that about the United States. What makes the United States different? Well, there's a number of things that make the United States different, but one is that we have local governments.
Right.
So we have the federal government, obviously. We have the state government, but then we have all the local governments. And most people don't realize how many different local governments there are. Because you think, like in Chicago, for example, you've got the federal government, state government, the county, Cook County.
Right.
Then you've got the city. But then there's all sorts of other local governments, like school districts,
It's true.
water reclamation,
I haven't thought about that
water
before.
reclamation districts, port authority, that all have their own boards, their own elected officials. Way down at the bottom of the ballot, there's a library board. There's a library district. Right now, how many local governments, and they overlap, right? So if you're standing in downtown Chicago, you are standing in Chicago, in Cook County, in the state of Illinois, in the United States of America. How many other local governments do you think we're sitting in right now?
I guess so. The city, you said county, school district, probably 3 more.
It's dozens.
Dozens.
I don't know the exact number.
Unbelievable.
Partially because Illinois, in this particular part of Illinois, is pretty local government heavy.
That's true.
But it's dozens of different local governments.
So I'm glad we started talking about governance because, one of the major reasons I really wanted you to be on this podcast is because there has been so much going on in the government about crypto. And my conversations are here most about technology, business, but crypto is a primary thing that I've been involved in for a long period of time. And I've been so much beaten by the lawlessness that's going on, honestly, that actually puts our like traditional normal businesses that follow the rules in a very bad situation because they cannot really make themselves legit because there's so many illegitimate parties. Mm-hmm. Again, going back to the government, why don't we start from the top? President of the United States, before inauguration, launches a meme coin, Trump coin.
Yes.
So, a lot of people tell me like, well, if president can do it, why can't I? So why can't they? Or number one, and number two, like, what do you think gonna happen with the crypto industry after precedent set by the president of launching meme coins, launching different type of cryptocurrencies that do not really look legit to me? They can be called collectibles, but at the same time, people are losing money on them. The law still applies.
Yeah, yeah. So there's so much there. So the first thing is, can anybody launch a meme coin? Sure. There's nothing. Yes, you can. There's no law that says you can't do that. The problem is or not everyone, but the problem is, what do you do with that meme coin?
Right.
What are you telling the public about?
All right. So that's where we go to securities laws, right?
Well, maybe not.
Maybe not.
We'll get to securities in a second. I have a lot to say about the securities law.
I'm sure.
Anyone can launch a meme coin. The problem isn't the meme coin. The problem is, what are you telling people about the meme coin? How are you using it?
Right.
What are you, what is the public reasonably believing they're buying? And this kind of gets back to cryptocurrency being being a misnomer, right? It's not really a currency.
It's not, right.
In the way that we think of currencies.
I agree.
It's obviously not backed by a government. It's totally different than fiat in those ways. But so, when the public thinks, here's cryptocurrency, and typically there's a coin.
They think about money.
They think about money,
right?
But it's not really money in the same way. A meme coin,
right.
A meme coin's not really money in the same way that the dollar bill is money, and the public doesn't. They don't get that.
Yeah, because you don't buy U.S. dollars to make money on it. Everyone in crypto wants to buy crypto only with one purpose: is make money by buying it.
Yeah.
I want to buy it for $1. I want to sell it for $2 or $5, $7. You don't buy a dollar bill for the same purpose. You would buy a treasury for the same purpose.
Right.
You would buy a stock for the same purpose, a commodity, but you wouldn't buy
Typically,
just
a currency, for the average person, the retail investor, let's say, typically they're buying a currency as something you use to buy something else. In this case, the cryptocurrency is the something else that they're buying and holding with the idea that, hopefully it'll go up in value and they'll be able to sell it.
Well, that's the old argument. There is Bitcoin and there is something else, right? Bitcoin has been around for a decade.
Yep.
It has more of commodities features, I would say. But at the same time, Bitcoin is not what kills the retail investors. There's these meme coins, the other coins, the coins that are launched every other day. Just recently, Javier Milei, the president of Argentina, posted a coin on Twitter or X saying this is a coin, and I do not know exactly what his endorsement was there, but he did post it on his Twitter, and then price skyrocketed. Then the coin fell. People got rugged.
Sure.
So now what? Who is responsible? Where do I, as an investor who bought Javier Milei Libra coin, go when this happens?
Well,
nowhere.
The first
on the internet. I go to the internet.
Right. The first place you should look is the mirror.
No, I love it.
Because what did you think would did anybody guarantee you that this would appreciate in value? You sort of buyer beware is the default, right?
Right.
Caveat emptor is the default. So, what did you think you were buying? And okay, didn't you know when you bought it that it could lose money? Sure. If I buy a share of Apple and Apple goes down in value, just because it went down in value doesn't mean I get to sue Apple.
It's true, but you have protective laws, though, right?
Right, because and this gets into the securities, and this gets into the securities issue, where there are very strict, and I mean very strict, laws and regulations that have been around for 100 years. The Securities Act was passed in 1933, I think.
Right.
All about what you can and can't do when you're offering securities to really anybody, but primarily the public. You have to be, if you're a broker dealer, you have to be registered. You can't lie. And that sounds like an easy law to follow, but you'd be surprised because you can lie by omission. So what happens when, companies have entire departments whose sole job it is to make sure that their 10Ks and 10Qs and their securities compliance is up to par. And we don't have that in the crypto space.
So, but what we've had in the crypto space, a lot of people are going to listen to this, going to argue, is like saying, well, we had SEC in the previous administration and have been going after a legitimate company. I've been arguing that myself. The laws are not clearly written. Crypto is not a security. Meme coin is not a security. Bitcoin is not a security.
But it can be. So here's the deal. Just the high line takeaway here is crypto is fundamentally different than other situations or other aspects of our current financial industry.
Right.
So it doesn't really fit into the laws really well, and the laws don't really fit into crypto all that well. The Southern District of New York, which is a prominent court, it's a court in Manhattan, has two opinions that are completely the opposite of one another.
Oh, really? On the same issue?
And the issue is Bitcoin a security?
Wow.
And in one case, I think it's Ripple, Coinbase, I think is the other one. But in one case, the court said, even in the same case, the court said, okay, the Bitcoin that was offered to the public in one scenario is not a security, but the Bitcoin that was offered to institutional investors is a security. And then in another case, the ruling was the exact opposite. And so you think like, Bitcoin either is or is not a security, right?
Right.
The world is either black or it is white. That's not the case because it all depends. It all depends on how the Bitcoin is marketed, how it's purchased, how it's sold, and how it's used.
And I guess when you refer to Bitcoin, you mean more like crypto, right, in general?
Well, yes. I mean anything.
Anything.
Or
this type of digital asset, like now new rebranded as digital asset.
Right. Well, and so the securities, the hook for securities law is whether or not the thing you're buying is an investment contract. That's what it is. Is it an investment contract? And this is an old case, and the test is, did you invest money?
So is it Howey test,
yeah,
right?
It's the Howey case.
It's
the Howey test,
yes.
Which is commonly used for investment, to determine
if it moves like a duck, right?
Pretty much. It's did you invest money in a common enterprise with the expectation of profits from the efforts of others?
So it's so hard. It's so hard to navigate this, right? Like I think Brian Armstrong, CEO of Coinbase, recently said that it's almost 1 million coins is created every week. Just unheard of, right?
Yeah.
So there's just whole groups of people who just buy and trade and sell. Like, are we gonna keep living in this? So. In this world of this law doesn't apply or this applies, or do you think there are going to be some more clear regulation going forward? I mean, President Trump did sign an executive orders allowing to create new committees and start looking and learning about this industry. But is it even possible right now with the speed of development?
One thing I can say for sure is the speed of the market and the speed of business will always outpace the speed of government regulation.
Okay.
That's how our system works. It takes
That doesn't sound promising to me.
well.
For this industry, I mean.
Yeah. I hope that there's some. I really hope that there is going to be some regulation under this administration. There's a new SEC chairperson. There's a new strategic plan related specifically to digital assets. We just need clarity.
But this is the thing. So I think the whole industry, Coinbase, ran by mostly like promoted by Coinbase, the largest crypto exchange in the United States. The industry has been advocating for creating a clear legislation passed into the law by Congress, not just some executive order or SEC memo, because that stuff doesn't last long, right? You can interpret it. So is there enough will and actual physical tools to write some type of legislation that will regulate all of the digital asset class within a short period of time? Or the matter is so complicated that it may take forever?
We have the tools.
Oh, we have the tools.
We have the tools. Here's the big secret about the crypto industry and the law. The law can handle it. You know,
The law can handle it.
Any new industry that's come along. Imagine when cars were first invented. What do we do? I think about how many laws we have about driving.
None, right? So
at the time,
you mean at the beginning when the cars?
And now we have.
I love it. Yeah.
And it's completely reshaped American life. You know, we didn't even have paved roads or the highway system. You know, and now we have all that. So the law can handle it. We have the tools. The issue is we need consensus. Mm-hmm. What would you want? Let's say there was will, and well, you need the political will too. But let's say there was the political will to pass some sort of omnibus digital asset. You know, the Digital Asset Act of 2025.
Right.
What do you want in it?
I would want Bitcoin to be clearly identified as a commodity. I think it is at this point.
Why a commodity? Why not create an entire new class of asset?
A good point. Well, I think because some of the coins that are there shouldn't be there at all. And like you say in the class S, like I don't believe in meme coins, by the way. I don't like, you know, in my industry, like when we Bitcoin maxes, which I probably consider one of them, we don't believe in anything but Bitcoin. And I think that Bitcoin would have been way more successful if we didn't have so many of these meme coins of just empty air coins, because other people would move money and buy Bitcoin in general. But anyway, so to your point, what would I want in it? Definitely clear regulation about Bitcoin in general. Definitely clear rules who can sell what and how, so people don't get in trouble, because we're going to get to this. But a lot of people get in trouble with crypto because, I mean, everyone is, you know, as Mike Tyson said, everyone has a plan until they're hit in the face.
Right.
And in crypto, that's exactly how people are. They're like, oh my God, this thing is going up. I'm just going to put $1,000 and it's going to become $1 million. And then boom, $1,000 is gone. And some people put more. So I do not like, now still I'm talking, I do not really know. You got me off guard. What exactly I'll put in there.
Right. That's what's causing the lag. Not that the government doesn't know how to regulate it or the law isn't equipped to deal with this new industry. We just don't know what the industry wants. Well, and to be fair, I'm coming at it from an industry perspective, right? I think the law, I think the powers that be in the crypto world ought to work together with regulators, with lawmakers to create, industry should be helping create this legislation. But there are people who don't agree with me, right? There are people that say, I don't want these crypto bros legislating anything.
Let's just ban them.
Exactly. We need Congress to step in and tell these guys what to do.
Former SEC chairman Gary Gensler was kind of that type of a person, I think. He was just going after legitimate companies, shutting them down, sending the Wells notices all the time, and it didn't let into anyone. You know what it led to? It led to crypto companies, legit crypto companies, investing into elections or putting super PACs and actually creating a proper legislation. But I've been in this industry for 7+ years, and my hopes are dying. I mean,
Really?
Yeah, they're dying. Like, we've been fighting for this regulation, and what we can see that there's no. It's not that the industry becomes so much bigger all the time. As you mentioned, DeFi lawyer, right? Like, you have DeFi, you have mining, you have meme coins, you have coins which are completely make no sense, AI coins and stuff like that. And now, like, how do you regulate that all, right? Like, because it just industry today is not the industry it used to be 5 years ago.
Sure.
It's way bigger, way more money, way more risk, and it leads to catastrophic events like FTX, like scams, like people losing money.
Well,
and we have a setback again.
So those scams, it's the same old scams. It's just with a new asset class. Crypto didn't cause the FTX problem.
Greed?
Greed did. I mean, the guy committed several crimes and stole money, It's a Ponzi scheme. What you have is
it's as old as Ponzi, basically.
Exactly. It's the same. It's meet the new fraudster, same as the old fraudster. They're just doing it with in a new medium.
New medium, new tools, right?
New tools that a lot of people don't understand, that there aren't clear laws about, and you can get rich quick.
Yeah, lose all the money.
This is the same. There have been a few points in history, right, where you can see a similar pattern, right? When credit cards first came out, for example, or when we were in the United States anyway, when we were moving west, and we were giving away all this land, or land was relatively free or relatively cheap, excuse me. There were land speculators. It's the same kind of gamesmanship happening.
So you saying that old tricks still apply, we just still have bad actors. So how
it's just easier. I will say crypto and the world that we live in now, where everyone is on their phone. I mean,
just pull up the phone. You can buy it. If you see an app,
I mean, think about all the pig butchering schemes. I mean, all the really bad stuff that's happening. People, if you pull it up and it's on your phone in an app, you see it on a screen, it's true. It might as well be true. Could you imagine 30 years ago, 50 years ago, somebody investing $1,000 or $100,000, sight unseen?
Yeah.
Never having met the person.
Example with that land that you said.
Exactly. What, you just mail a check to somebody?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the sort of 19th century equivalent to what we have now.
Yeah, so I think that's a good point, but probably it is because of the people's greed, right? Like the idea that you can make money at home, you can just invest once and be rich really fast, and a lot of young people get caught up for that. But Mike,
I think for the bad guys it's greed, and for the victims it's fear of missing out.
Fear of missing out. Well, so let's talk about this, about greed and bad guys. At the end of the day, once a wise man told me that the train of justice starts moving very slowly, but when it starts riding, you can't stop it. So at some point, those companies who committed crimes allegedly or will be investigated, and they will be charged. How much time will it take for other bad actors to see that the Justice Department and justice in general is going after them? Because these things happen so fast that you can just make big, quick money if you're a bad actor and leave and just change your name, basically,
Yeah. Look, I wish I could wave my magic legal wand, and make all of the crime stop and make all of the.
But you would be without the
stop.
job then.
Well, I'd figure something out. I'd figure something out. But I think you mentioned earlier about there's a lot more money now
Right.
in the industry in general. And I think that's a good thing because now, FTX is making, I mean, that was national news. I mean, that was worldwide news. The Celsius issues, all of these are now not on the fringes anymore. It's not some guy in a basement, right? These are major, players as seen by the, sort of mainstream media, right? And so those CEOs were charged. They, were in some case, I think in both cases pled guilty, were found guilty. Huge dollars were at stake. Prison time, happened. Compare that to like the 2008 financial crisis.
No one went to jail, basically. That's what you're saying?
What I'm saying is, I think over the last 18 months, the white-collar criminal liability that's been imposed in the crypto space, I think sent shockwaves through it. And I think it made everybody stand up or sit up and pay attention.
And be more compliant.
Now, look,
does
it be more compliant, understand that you can't just take the money. You being in the crypto industry is not a license to defraud people.
It's a very good one. It's not a license. Most people think that. Some people think that. How do crypto industry cleans its reputation? How do we do that? Like you're gonna go walk on the street right now. You're gonna ask a person, "What do you think about crypto?" And just regular pedestrian gonna tell you, that's probably a scam. So what do we do? What does the industry do? Like how long you been working in the crypto space as an attorney?
Since 2018.
Oh my God! So you were right from the beginning of those real Wild West times, right? So you kind of probably most experienced attorney in this industry. So what do you think as an experienced attorney in this industry? How do we clean it up, clean the reputation?
So
as a participants of the industry.
Yeah. Well, in my view, we need to the general public needs to understand it. People are generally afraid of what they don't know for fear of the unknown. Or if you don't know it and you don't understand how it works and the only thing you know about it is Sam Bankman-Fried, or the Trump coin. And it's got a kind of a, suspicious name in some circles. Some might say it's a cool name, but it's cryptocurrency. What is that about?
Right, right. So it's decrypted. It's hidden.
And so I think the public you said that your question was, how do we legitimize the industry?
Right.
And I think the answer is through understanding. If
so more education.
Yeah, more education.
Is it rebranding? You said crypto is a bad word. Digital assets.
That horse is out of the barn. That cat's out of the bag.
Yeah.
So
crypto is going to be crypto forever?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so. I don't think there's a prayer of changing the branding. But people need to understand what it is. And how it works.
So we're going back to that rule writing, right? The law of we need a clear set of laws that would differentiate what Bitcoin is, what other crypto thing is, what Ethereum is. I think they already know what Ethereum is. But this is the thing. So I think the reason I think we need a set of rules because in this country we have a democracy and one party or one elected official comes in. Changes the rule, another one comes in, changes the rule, like an example with SEC, and I think we're just going to keep going after this. Yeah. That's why the law has to be written and approved by Congress and, signed. Then, only then, that's, I think, the pinnacle of all of this industry. I think that's when it starts to be, okay, now it's legit. Because if there's no law... it's very hard.
So there are laws. So there are laws, right? You don't need to make a law, and this is something I want to make sure kind of everybody understands. You don't need a specific law for a specific thing. I don't need a law applicable to suits or ties, right? How about a law about clothing? Better yet, how about a law about products, right? I'd rather have what you want are laws of general applicability. That's the key.
I see.
And that's what makes, I mean, that's something that's a little unique about our system is we set these general frameworks up for various categories of things or actions, right? And then if there's a dispute about it, you go in front of a judge and you hammer out the actual dispute based on what actually happened in this specific case. So I wouldn't want to see some hyper-specific legislation or regulation about cryptocurrency necessarily, specifically. Instead, as a lawyer, I just want to know which bucket of laws applies to cryptocurrency.
Is it securities? Is it commodities?
Is it a security? Is it a commodity? Is it regular old what's called chattel property, which is property? Is it something else? Is it a service? Right? I mean, you could. There's an argument, especially with some proof of stake backed blockchains, that I'm buying a service when I purchase a coin or I put my coin up in a pool to stake in a proof of stake sort of scenario. So I just need to know which set of laws applies.
Right.
And then from there, you let the body of law develop. You let the cases develop.
Mike, so we can talk about crypto so much and about meme coins and all this issued, call them securities or commodities or whatever. But at the end of the day, this tokens or I just don't even know how to call this. This industry in general is run by people, and they run certain companies. So, like you can be run a DeFi project, but at the same time you need to have a business registered. You need to have a license.
I'm glad you brought this up. That's what I'm
You
glad
have
you
to
brought this
have-
up. The laws still apply.
Right. So my point
Just
is,
because
like,
there's
it's
not
just,
a Bitcoin law doesn't mean your Bitcoin-related business
Right.
isn't subject to every other law. Even if you don't know about them, you still have to follow them.
right. So it's still a business. So if it's a business, then it means there are a bunch of other laws that you have to follow.
Yep.
Regardless if you're a crypto mining company, or you're a token company, or you are Ethereum company, or you're a software project.
Or even if you're just the IT consultants, that are working with people in the crypto industry.
So so you see, and that's the craziness about it, about the industry. There's a lot of young people get into this industry, and I'm glad that I have a person who is a young age, an attorney, because attorneys are usually in young kids' mind. Attorneys are like old douchey guys,
Sure. Well, I'm glad I don't fall into that category.
But so my point, the young people, they think, I'm just putting this token up. Like, I don't need to register an LLC. I don't care about signing a contract. Let me just, I'll send it to you through the wallet and you send it to me. But Mike, I think that's where all the disputes come in right now. I mean, this is like the easiest place to get into a dispute right now, right?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't do something what I promised I would do for you. It doesn't matter how I call my token. If I didn't do my work and I didn't have an agreement, this is a commercial litigation, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. So yes is the answer to your question. And from the legal perspective, what makes it so interesting and fun, frankly, for me, but also difficult, and why I think a lot of people will call it the Wild West, is because in each one of those scenarios, I don't really even know necessarily what body of law to look at, and that's the whole game here with that a lawyer's doing. You bring me a case, I go find a case that's similar to it. That's precedent. We hear a lot about precedents.
Yes.
I go find precedent. I read that precedent, and it tells me what the law is and how it's interpreted. So then
What if there is no precedent? Like in crypto now.
Well, but there's always precedent. There's always precedent. And the only question is, how good is that precedent?
I see.
Because there's cases before that obviously we've been around for a while. There's a lot of cases. If you go to the Library of Congress or the Supreme Court, you'll find shelf of cases. And the only question is, well, how much do those cases apply? How similar or dissimilar are they to our current situation? Yeah. And so that's why I say, let's say you have that scenario where, I promised to do I sent you money, you were supposed to send me the coin, or whatever.
Or the service.
Or the service. But is that like a product? Do I look to the Uniform Commercial Code, Section 2, sales? Or is this a service, in which case a whole different set of laws applies? Or is it a hybrid, in which case yet a third set of laws applies? Oh, by the way, is it a security? Because if it's a security, then not only there's a whole nother set of law applies, a whole nother set of laws from an entirely different government applies, because oftentimes securities issues are federal. And what other stuff we've been talking about so far is mostly state, as a general rule. So that's what makes it the wild, wild west, is that it's not that there aren't laws. It's just we're all over the board in terms of which laws apply and when, and what is a particular judge going to do, and all of that.
So with your experience of over almost 7 years, damn,
I know,
almost 7 years. What if you can talk, of course, about that? What type of litigation have you seen in crypto industry? What is the most common issue that people fight about?
So there's really two issues that are, I would say, the most common. One is just the straight up fraud.
Okay.
But those, I don't really think of those as crypto cases.
It's in general fraud.
They're just a fraud case. I mean, it could have been crypto. It could have been Beanie Babies. It could have been real estate. I mean, the method or the mechanism of the fraud in these cases is crypto, but they're not crypto cases. There's nothing about. They're not about cryptocurrency. They're about the fraud and the lies. But that is, I mean, those are, that's been the focus of the government's enforcement so far. Those cases exist. But then there's also what I call the commercial cases, where this is litigation, usually between two businesses in the crypto industry about the industry, or the fact that it is crypto is a driving factor in these lawsuits.
I see.
Maybe that's you get in a fight.
People
with
lost money, right?
Well, of course.
That's usually why it has.
You only file a lawsuit if you lose money,
yeah, right.
or if you should have made more. So, like, imagine, maybe you get in a fight with your co-location provider, right? And now
that's when you talk about Bitcoin mining cases.
Yeah, sure, like a Bitcoin mining. So I will say, the vast majority of cases that I've seen, and the ones that are really developed, are Bitcoin related.
Bitcoin related. So Bitcoin mining, Bitcoin transfer, Bitcoin fraud, stole money.
Transfer. I mean, really anything having to do with Bitcoin.
So Bitcoin is the most apparently fraudulent
out
of other cryptos.
No. It's
just because mostly used, right?
It's because it's mostly used. Yeah. It's the well developed in terms of the industry, and people are. It's actually, I would say, the most legitimate. And that's why you're getting the most litigation.
That's interesting. It's a good point. So that's why there's laws apply, right?
And legitimate professional parties, are now working in the crypto world, and they are more litigious, I would say, than.
So they understand the business, right?
They understand the business, and they also have a well-defined set of expectations, such that if you breach this contract, or for example, let's say you had an institutional investor invested a bunch of money in the Bitcoin ETF, and there was a potential error or omission or fraudulent statement about that ETF, you better believe that an institutional investor is going to look at potentially a securities fraud lawsuit.
Right.
Whereas if somebody buys a meme coin and it goes down in value, is that retail investor really going to run to federal court? Probably less likely.
Well, so it's interesting. So the more money at stake, and the more legitimate money at stake, as you mentioned, investors, the more higher probability that the relationship between the parties who do business, that there will be some type of disputes, right? Because people understand each other, they understand law, and they have at least advice, right? Versus you just going and buying a crypto coin on somewhere.
Yeah, you're right. And it's really number of transactions and value of those transactions that drive the frequency of litigation.
So, speaking about, I think litigation and talking about this crypto bros, younger population. I like that word. I like the saying, calling people crypto bros, even though when someone calls me that, I'm gonna get offended.
Sometimes it's appropriate.
Yeah, right. So, but the people do not understand what litigation is. Just people. You go right now. Right now, the information is in general. You go on Twitter and people offend each other. People talk about BS they shouldn't. They sometimes, like for example, with this meme coin, there was an interview with allegedly the person who created that meme coin for Libra actually confessed that they had made some issues. So my point is, I don't think people realize that litigation is a real issue.
That is easily my favorite part of working in this industry.
Yeah, really?
Remember when I said it goes back to the bully on the playground saying, make me?
Yes.
Okay, well, you know what? We're not going to hide behind a keyboard anymore. Mm-hmm. We're not going to use usernames. We're going to go to court, and you have to come to court. And you better bring your witnesses live, in person, so I can ask them questions, and they have to answer those questions. And we're going to bring the evidence in, and we're going to see who's right. And I love that because there are people, as I know you know, and that I've had experience with, that really don't understand that. They see maybe a filing from a federal court or a notice or a summons, and they think they can treat it like it's any other piece of paper or like it's any other DM. And that's just not. You can
X,
serve
right?
people. So you can serve people by DM now.
Oh, wow. DM.
Service of process, by the way. They think, oh, it doesn't matter what I say, or I don't have to be accurate, or I don't have to show up on time, or I don't have to meet a deadline, or any number of those things. And that's just not true. I mean, by the way, if you don't show up for court, the U.S. Marshals will come find you and bring you to court.
It's a meme coin or not. This is not a meme thing, right?
Yeah, and if you harmed a client of mine, or if my client is defending something, you're going to sit in that witness chair and you're going to answer my questions until I'm done asking them.
So I think the conclusion of that is, well, regardless, either the meme coin is it a joke or not, if the crime is committed and there is an issue or there is a dispute, that can get into real trouble. Get anyone, a bad actor, in real trouble.
Yeah.
Real trouble. There is enough laws to take a person into real trouble right now.
Yeah.
We don't need a new rule for crypto in order to go after fraud.
And it's not just fraud. It's everything. The laws exist. The laws apply. Full stop. What we're talking about in terms of regulation and legislation is we would like a better law, right? We would like to have some more clarity, all that stuff.
But commercial stuff is commercial stuff.
Commercial stuff's commercial stuff. By the way, retail stuff is retail stuff. If you want to, if you're communicating with somebody over state lines, mail and wire fraud laws, federal mail and wire fraud laws apply.
Jeez.
I mean, just look at, you can go to the SEC's website right now, and there's a whole list of enforcement actions for digital assets and crypto specifically.
So it's interesting you referred again to SEC, because I actually wanted to ask a question. A lot of people think that a lot of people in the industry think that after Trump's presidency, or during the Trump's presidency, after he won the elections, that SEC will not enforce anything. That it's going to be anarchy. What are your thoughts about that?
The SEC, so it may be anarchy. I cannot predict what the president will do any more than anybody else can. And it's going to be interesting. I know that. But the SEC is a huge agency.
Right.
And by the way, that has cases. So they litigate, obviously. So they have a rulemaking arm where they issue regulations and do all sorts of enforcement, and there's a criminal aspect to that. But then they're also the plaintiff in many, 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 many civil cases. And it's a huge agency. And these cases are going on. You know, they're happening. Like you talked about the train of justice. You can't just stop it. You know, so the regulatory environment, no question, we have a different administration now than we did last term. You know, but the SEC just announced, I think they're calling it their new strategic plan for digital assets. And it is an invitation to the industry,
Right.
To help shape rulemaking and eventually, hopefully, some
Basically,
legislation.
public opinion, some sort of
Well, yeah,
industry opinion.
in industry opinion. Yeah, you don't have to be. You know, there's no qualifications. I mean, this is the United States. Anybody can make their voice heard. You know, but you know, I think the SEC is looking to people, frankly, who know what they're talking about to come forward and with some good ideas to try to build a consensus around what regulation or legislation ought to look like.
This is so cool. I think it's very important to actually hear opinion, maybe not legal opinion, but just talk to a person who's been spending time in this industry and spending time in litigation in this industry, because it's as I mentioned before, people don't take it seriously. Most people who issue a lot of tokens, they don't take it seriously.
Of the dozen real cases, crypto cases that I've handled, I would say that is a common thread that people just don't take it seriously. The parties, even in the lawsuit. That's a good point. I hadn't really thought about that, but yeah, that's true.
So what is next to you? Like, because sometimes I feel that I'm tired of crypto industry. You look very optimistic about it.
Oh, yeah.
I guess with experience you've got, do you plan to stay more active in the industry from attorney's perspective?
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm a little more bullish, I think, on the industry than you
Really?
are. I look at it like, this is just every industry goes through growth phases.
Yeah.
And the growth phase, you're right. The industry is much different now than it was 5 years ago, but there's a lot more money and a lot more institutional investment. And with that comes a new phase. And I think we're just crossed over into that new phase. I think the industry will continue growing, and that's why I started the crypto practice group at our firm that I now lead. And so, I'm doubling down.
Very cool. Well, you're probably one of those people who is not feared to miss out.
No, you're absolutely right.
Mike, it's been a great conversation. Thank you for your time. I look forward to more updates from you, and I would look forward to talk to you probably in a year and see what you're going to say next.
We'll see where we are.
Right. Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.